I just asked my wife this morning if I could go on a tour, and she said absolutely effing not. So that's me told on that. I wanted to do a video today about a phrase that I heard. Someone was talking about someone who makes videos for YouTube, and kind of used the phrase "all the rig, no gig," and I kind of thought about it a little bit. And obviously, as someone who predominantly makes guitar videos in my bedroom, I had a little bit of a feeling about it. Obviously, I don't know, you might know or you might not know, I do like the dodgy wedding gigs on the weekends, and I've done other stuff throughout my life, and certainly before lockdown I was a much busier guitarist, but yeah, it's kind of, I thought about like what is the difference between, say, like a touring guitarist and someone who kind of makes videos in their bedroom and then gigs on the weekend. Is there anything negative about, being a bedroom guitarist? And some of these things, is there any actual extra validation or knowledge that you might get? Any of this other stuff. So I don't know, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and let me know if you've been a touring musician. I think that would be interesting to hear some perspective from folks like that.
This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses.
So myself personally, I actually grew up playing in church. I played piano from the age of 5, started playing guitar at 8, and then, because my parents took us to church, my brother played drums in church, and I would play, I think initially like a bit of guitar, then bass for years, then electric guitar, acoustic guitar. And so I basically played music pretty much my whole life, and a lot of the time, like pretty much every weekend, it'd be live as well. So I've got plenty of experience in that sense, but I've never done like a big tour. I've never played with like a huge artist. I did do a live session with Mark Kelly from Marathon. That's like my biggest credit, if you like, right? But nothing particularly crazy. Got to record at Real World Studios, which is Peter Gabriel's studio, and I'm told I did quite a good job, and they were impressed, and I was certainly very nervous for that. But like I said, never had this opportunity come up where it's like, well, I don't know how it really happens that you end up on tours. I guess it's the same as any other opportunity in life, where it's like a combination of meeting the right people at the right time, being in the right situation where you can say yes to something, and then doing a good job consistently enough that you don't get booted off, presumably. But I think it's probably the case that most people like watching this video, except for maybe you, Rob, are not going to have experienced like what life is like touring. Maybe some of us, not me, but some of us might have gone on a cruise ship. I personally, in about 2016, did like a residency in Israel. Like there's a place called Eliat where I played for an entire month at the same hotel with a band, with a touring drummer actually there Craig, and so Craig has toured with Lulu, the Christians. There will be others that I've missed, but yeah. So I sort of have played with touring musicians, but never been given that opportunity. What I try to kind of do these videos occasionally where I'm actually gigging a piece of gear, because what I think it can show us is a little bit of how things are designed to be used in the heat of battle, or show up some things which you didn't realise how it worked. Or, for instance, when you're playing a specific guitar for an hour and then another hour, so like most function gigs I do it for 2 hours, it can kind of highlight things that are working for you about that guitar or not. So I think there is some amount of insight that I can gain, and if I just get it out of the box and do like a 20-minute bit of playing and then come to a conclusion. So that's why I personally do it. But in terms of getting into the nitty-gritty of stuff, I don't necessarily think that being involved with an arena tour or being involved in, you know, like playing with loads of different artists would necessarily give you that much insight into the inner workings of how to build presets on Fractal or whatever. I think in some cases you're going to go with a simple rig that is going to get the job done. I think that is important as well to note with the gigging stuff, because I've done that sort of thing where you're trying to put something together in the heat of the battle for the gig, and you're like, right, I want to try this, and you're kind of dicking around with cables and stuff like that, and you're thinking, right, well, that needs to go there. I was trying to figure out how to put an effects loop into my Fractal FM9 so that I could demo the Universal Audio Enigmatic on a gig, and then I also took a feed off of the FM9 into my laptop, and it was kind of like, it's a bit too much. So I think that's another thing that the live gig, and I presume touring as well, that things like reliability, simplicity to get it set up, does it work night after night, things like that it might tell you, but also reliability like in your playing and consistency in your playing when you're away from home for a long time, that sort of stuff. I've got to guess that that's part of the stuff, and you know, being in a situation with a bunch of other musicians and that sort of thing. I think it must be difficult to have like a balanced family life at home. You must have to have a really understanding spouse. I don't have one, but do you know what I mean? Where it's like, well, I need to be away for this many months of the year so that we can have our living. It must be a really taxing thing like that. So I don't think that everyone is suited for touring. I do think that a lot of people like me are really suited well to playing in a bedroom. And the sort of playing that I get to do in my bedroom is quite a lot different to, I think, what most actual gigging musicians even would be doing. Like even me, like on a wedding, most of the time I'm just playing like rhythm stuff, right? And I'm backing a singer. Whereas in my room I can sort of pretend like I'm a sax player and sort of just have fun and stuff like that. So I think there is definitely a distinction between being a bedroom player. I actually think playing in your bedroom is a little bit more fun to me, to be honest. I kind of learned early on, I thought I wanted to be like a famous guitarist or whatever. I've since learned that actually it's not really even about being in front of anyone. I kind of just like playing guitar. It's kind of what I like to do every day, and that was what doing this has been for, really. But hopefully, I think there is plenty that we can learn from some players that don't necessarily have to have toured to necessarily be totally validated. I think there are other lessons to be learned from touring guitarists, but maybe how to get into the nitty-gritty of doing some modelist stuff. I think I've heard Aaron Marshall saying like a lot of what he's figured out on the Fractal stuff, he watches Leon Todd and stuff like that. Leon Todd is a touring guitarist actually, so maybe that's not a point. Shout out Leon. Anyway, so yeah, let me know your thoughts. Have you ever toured? Would you ever like to tour? Another thing to mention, I guess, is kind of like stability of income and that sort of stuff. I think putting all your money into gigging as a musician can be quite unstable, quite unpredictable. And I think that's another reason that I know some amazing guitarists like Francisco from down the road. You know, he's an architect by trade because it's kind of like, well, it's more stable, right? And quite a lot more money as well. So kind of interesting, like, yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. All the rig, no gig. Do you care what someone does outside of their YouTube videos if they're making videos on YouTube? Interesting to know. Get comfortable with I'm a YouTube guitarist, innit?